What's up, everybody? Welcome into the NG Podcast Wednesday Wheel Edition. It has been a crazy day for me. I don't know about you, Manny, but kind of crazy day.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
crazy day.
started off early, but man, and it's gonna go late. We get to do youth tonight. So if you don't already have plans, or if you're a new listener, whatever it may be. By the way, I'm your host, Pastor Tim. We've got Manny back there on cam. Coming to you live from the living room, which is open and available to all of you that are looking to get your homework done, or better your grades, or just get it out of the way. Whatever it is open to you. We're live from there right now. Um, yeah, I'm looking forward to today. So every month we actually kind of got to meet about this yesterday. Manny and I got some lunch and talked about really like where's the podcast going to go this fall, and so we're going to do a little rotation. So every month we're going to have one Wednesday where we do the wheel, and we know what some of the future wheels are going to be, and I am so excited. I don't know. We laughed way harder than I think.
Oh man, that was
It's
hilarious.
yeah, it's the hardest I've laughed in a while. So I hope you're getting excited for that. But basically, we're going to have one guest on every month, students or some sort of connection to the youth group. We're going to have the Wednesday wheel. We're going to have the box edition. And I think I'm actually going to put a long-lasting podcast box in the flip-flop where you guys throughout the month can drop in your questions. And then also just we'll close out each month kind of looking back at the month, like the month in review, just high points and cool things that happened during. But then also kind of going out live to some of your sporting events now that we're kind of back in school, whether it's band or football or wrestling or whatever, and actually getting to interview you guys after those. I'm excited, really excited for the fall. But today we're doing a wheel, and whether you're excited or not, it is time to go back to school. And I remember the days. Now I'm done with school. I'm very proud to say that. But I remember the days going back to school. Not fun. We do love the summer. I will say this though, Manny. I do not enjoy. I have realized that a routine is good for me. How do you feel? Like vacation's good, but after a while,
Yeah, I think routine just is like a natural thing that people cling to. Like it makes it easier to get things done when you have certain things timed at certain times, and it also just helps you in every aspect. You can fit more things into your schedule,
yeah.
and then well, just like here, uh, having the routine of everybody being at church and being here is always super fun.
Yeah, well, and again, like eventually I kind of get bored. Like when I don't have my routine
Yeah,
and every day is kind of that shotgun blast, like, yeah, it's nice to rest. Rest is biblical, all that kind of stuff. But man, eventually I kind of get bored. I don't know. And I guess I was kind of like that as a kid. You know, I obviously played a lot more video games when I was a kid and that kind of stuff. But I think the things that I dreaded about going back to school, they didn't really necessarily have to deal with a routine. But just, it's hard to get motivated about things that you might not be interested in. And I wasn't really interested in stuff like math. I probably would have just done band and art for every class, went and played tennis, but that was me. So I don't know if you remember the days, Manny, because how old are you?
22.
You got to think about that.
Uh,
All right, 22. So let's see. So I mean, not too long ago. So you can kind of remember, that routine of going back to school and I mean, even in college and going back to school and that kind of stuff. But what we're gonna do today is we're gonna spin our reel. We're gonna rank what we thought the toughest parts about going back to school are. Now, as we do this wheel, remember I'm ranking it for me. Like what I think I remember the toughest parts for me were. Manny, I guess you can kind of go online with that too. But
Yeah.
I'd love to hear what you guys really think your list would be. So you'll see the wheel, obviously, as we spin it. Those top 10 things that are tough about going back to school. Some things that I bet you're not surprised are on this wheel, right? Homework is on the wheel. Nobody likes home. which is why you should come to the living room and just get it done here.
Just get it over with.
Yeah. But then also some other things that I don't think maybe we don't consider as being a tough part about going back to school. So, man, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? Let's
All right.
spin it. Now I can't hear the little sound effects, but I know they're going.
It's there. Ready?
Pretend like they're there. Round of
All right.
applause.
They're on learning new things.
Learning new things. Okay, number 1 being the toughest part, number 10 being the least tough. I think for me, I put this at number 10. I've always been interested in learning new things. It's hard when you're not interested in that topic to learn new things, but I don't remember this being like oh man, gotta learn something new.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how you feel, but like
100%.
Obviously there's those classes that you're nervous about. I remember, I think I only took one AP class and I was kind of nervous just about the amount that would be expected of me, but I don't think it was necessarily the content. I don't know where you're at. What would you rank this for your top 10?
Probably at the bottom too. I always like learning new stuff. I think the only thing that I was kind of like iffy about was biology. Even then, I still kind of like learning about like dissecting things. But
Fun.
I would just say it was intimidating. It wasn't like not fun for me. Because
Yeah.
it was like hands-on, like you gotta like see everything. But other than that, I don't think there's ever anything that I didn't like learning.
What was your favorite thing to learn? Like, I guess if this is number 10, like for me, low for you, what did you look forward to learning?
I like science a lot.
Okay.
Science, physics was fun, stuff like that. The only downside of that I didn't like about physics was learning like all the different math formulas and stuff for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't really like math that much. But science was one of my favorite subjects.
Kind of rare to find people that like math, but I think it comes down to who's teaching it too. Because I've always been interested in science. I just don't think I ever had like a super good science teacher. And if you're one of my science teachers listening to this, that's not a knock on you. I just wasn't really the best student when I was in high school. Got way better later on through college, but man, I'm a history buff, man. I didn't like testing with history, but I loved learning it. And I think that's the difference is like, this isn't testing on new things. This is learning new things. And I really do enjoy learning about history. I hated testing on it because I was like, well, I don't know what exact year, Picasso started painting. Like, I don't know. But, I do love learning history. So, and again, that goes to show, like, for you students out there, focus on the learning. Like, I think if you focus on the learning, I know a lot of C students that really have to try hard and learn that know a lot more than A students where it just kind of comes easily. So I would say, like, don't focus on the grade, like focus on learning. Focus on the grade if you're really, really struggling, but there's so many people that are just like, oh, I want to get a 4.0, but then they don't actually learn anything.
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of
having the 4.0?
Yeah, like what's the point of going to school? So, I'm going to put that at number 10, but
Number 10.
go for it. Let's spin it. Oh, you can hide the slice too. Like, we don't know any.
Yeah, I hit it.
Okay, yeah, because last time that was a struggle.
So,
Go for it.
All right. Got waking up earlier.
That is my number 1.
Even now.
Even now. Well, I don't know. Like, now it's better. I don't enjoy waking up until I can say, like, no, it's good. But in the act of waking, I'm always glad that I woke up early. I don't like the process of waking. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's
like
true.
waking up early, getting your workout done, like getting that
That's
out of the
nice.
way. Awesome.
Yeah.
Just not while it's happening. So, but man, I'm a alarm snoozer. I will force myself to get ready quicker just to get that extra couple of minutes of sleep.
Yeah, that's true.
Are you a night? Because I'm a night owl. Like, I don't like.
Yeah.
I like to put it this way. I don't like giving up on the day. So, especially like you work all day, and then you get home. I don't want to like relax for 20 minutes and go to bed. I want to like actually have a moment in my day where I'm relaxing, even if it costs me sleep. I don't know where
Yeah.
you're at on that.
I think I'm the same way. Yeah, I'm definitely a night owl. I feel like I'm way more productive like later in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. Like getting up, process of getting up. Like this morning, I was just like dreading getting up.
Yeah.
And then,
Oh, I know, because you were here half an hour late, but that's okay. But no, we've got some people in our, like, I know Josiah in our youth group. I don't know how, but like every day it can't, like when he would go to camp, he's like, oh no, I'm up at 5. It's just how it works. And I'm like, again, I'm always glad that I got up early, but I don't enjoy the process of getting up early because gosh, man, like, oh, just the groggy, you realize the sleep is over, you're back into another work day. But again, once you get going, it's good. I
you
don't
get
know.
past that first like 10 minutes of grogginess, then you're like, okay, I'm set for workout and everything else.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is I thought I used to have this as my phone background, but it says wake up early before your body figures out what's going on. I'm like, that's so true because
Mhm.
and it's done and it's so great. Like when you're looking and like, oh, it's already done. All my work's done. It's so great. I can actually relax without any like shadows behind me. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So where would you rank like 1 to 10?
I think I would put that at number 2.
Number 2 and near
Yeah.
the top. Okay.
Mm. At the
All
top,
right.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Let's spin it.
All right. New teacher.
New
I think
teachers.
you're the only one that can touch on this.
No, I mean, like, I remember getting new teachers. I put it at 5. I put it right in the middle. That didn't necessarily bother me unless I heard that the teacher was bad. I don't know.
Yeah.
New teachers. I think I was more focused on the subject than the teacher. Now, there
So
were
do
like
I.
teachers that I was super excited about, or like teachers that I heard rumors that they were like really tough and all that kind of stuff, but I don't remember that being like something that I dreaded.
Oh no. Who's
Yeah.
gonna be this year?
Yeah. I don't remember that being very important. Oh man, all new teachers, like that wasn't like very high on
Yeah.
my list of things. I put it at 5. I don't know about you.
Well, I was homeschooled. So.
What a loser. Just kidding. We homeschool our children. It actually is a great
I
option, but
think the equivalent of that would be just my mom getting older.
yeah, a new teacher for you, that'd be awkward. You're like, who's this? Why are you in my house? Yeah. So maybe it's pretty low for you.
Oh.
Didn't dread it. Unless you're like, no, your dad's going to teach you math today. You're like, oh,
No,
all
okay.
right. All right.
I actually don't think my dad ever like chimed in on any subject except for like maybe history. Yeah.
Okay.
Probably just history.
Which is not a shock. I mean, guys are history guys. You know,
Yeah.
I like history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, works for me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Middle of the pack. I don't know. New teachers wasn't really a stressor. I know for some people, like, they get used to a way that a teacher does stuff and, like, they like build a relation, like those like super relational people, they build that relationship and like, oh, now I got to start all over. So I can understand this being a bigger thing, but just for me, I don't know. I was more so just, if I dreaded anything about the class, it wasn't necessarily the teacher. It was what I was going to have to
Class.
do. Yeah. Yeah. The only time the teacher came into play is if I heard that they were like a really super tough teacher.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
Mrs. Bennett, super mean.
Yeah. I don't know who Mrs. Bennett is.
It's just someone I made up.
Oh, gotcha. You made him up. Okay. All right. I gotta spin it.
Oh.
I feel like this is where we have to like, and now a word from our sponsors.
From our sponsors.
Tell me about where you're from. They were sponsored by
Being friends.
Hot Cheetos. Finding Friends. Okay. I know that this is super stressful. In fact, on Sunday, when we were doing Prayer Sunday, we did some highs and lows. Quite a few people mentioned this as their high. And it was almost like that like sigh of relief. Like, I did make some new friends, so that's good.
Oh, yeah. Mhm.
It was never an issue for me because I think my church friends were my school friends. So I just spent a lot of time with my friends, and my friends remained consistent throughout the years. I mean, I guess I remember this being stressful when I went to college. Like I remember worrying a little bit about making friends, like new people in a like new school, new system, new town, all that kind of stuff. Like that was probably more stressful. But I put this at number 8 for me. What about you?
Um,
Yeah, you have the homeschool perspective on this too. So maintaining
Sure.
friendships, I guess, is more so what this is for you.
yeah. It's just like in a general aspect. Like, I wouldn't say it was hard to find friends. Like, I feel like a lot of people kind of liked coming up and talking to me. Um, I was definitely like very introverted. So like, sometimes I was just kind of like, I don't want to talk. Oh,
Look at you now, though.
I know.
No,
All
like,
over the
how did
place.
you maintain those? So, like, where'd your friendships come from as a homeschool kid? And then, like, how'd you maintain those friendships? Because I think everybody
Well,
automatically assumes, like, oh, homeschool people just hang out with their mom. They don't know any other kids, which I don't think is true. So, like, where did you get your friendships and how did you maintain them?
a lot of them were from here, from a church setting. Um, Started out with like Diego and Jeremy. And then as I got into like other little like hobbies and stuff, like we all liked skating. That's kind of how I met like a couple other friends. And that kind of opened doors for me, inviting them to church and stuff. So that's mainly how my friend group grew. It was like
Okay.
through people that I met here at church, and then maintaining. I mean, I'm still friends with all of them. Diego, Jeremy, uh, Walter, Bo. Pretty much grown up with all of them.
Yeah. Well, you got to put in the work. If you're just not going to see them by default every day, that makes me wonder, like, if you're a homeschool kid and you're not plugged into a church, um, where do you get that from? And I mean,
Yeah.
unless it's like a homeschool co-op, but I mean, yeah, at least you would have opportunities every week, multiple opportunities if you're invested to get to see those friends. But if you're not, if you don't have any community outside of your homeschool environment, man, that's gotta be tough.
Yeah.
Like this would be really, really hard because it's obviously it's important. Like you need friends. We're relational people, and you need people to walk through life with. I think COVID taught us that, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
We think we want our alone time,
And then
and
you
then you
get
kind of get sick of yourself,
I can't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, yeah, we could spin the wheel, but yeah, I mean, finding friends, it's a huge priority. Finding the right friends, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Finding friends, you can find friends anywhere. I'm sure there's probably an app where you can look up friends, but
That's gotta be super lonely.
yeah, yeah, but like finding the right friends, getting around. I mean, the whole garbage in, garbage out thing, I think is an important
Yeah.
line to tread lightly. Oh.
I don't know where I would rank that. Maybe like 7 or 8.
Yeah, I mean, I put it at 8. Yeah,
Yeah.
like it wasn't something that I super worried about.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a good consistent, again, from church. I had that consistent friend group. So all right, let's keep her going. Let's spin it.
All right.
What do we got? What do we got?
Managing priorities.
Managing priorities. Okay, I put this at 9 or 3.
Those are very opposite
Yeah,
sides of the
for
spectrum.
me, managing priorities, I put it pretty low as far as like a tough part. But I had really, really like consistent parents that helped me make sure that my priorities were straight.
Yeah.
Whether it was, prioritizing my involvement with youth group and that kind of stuff over sports and over school, that was the priority, right? So we weren't really on a consistent basis. We couldn't just commit to something that was going to pull us away from our involvement with church. So I think my support system at home was a 9. But the reason why I put a 3 is because when that went away, when I went to college, holy cow, man, I struggled so bad managing priorities because I would like, oh, my alarm's going off for class. I don't have to go. Just get the notes. I'm not going to go. And like those first 2 years in college definitely changed after the Marine Corps, but those first 2 years in college, man, I honestly, I wasn't really. I can't tell you a church that was my church when I was at Cal Baptist for those first 2 years. I went to church, but it was like a shotgun blast of where I was going to go. And most of the time, it was just
Mm.
kind of hanging out with friends where they would go. And that definitely, thankfully changed through my time after the Marine Corps, that kind of stuff. I just saw the priority of that and I got better at managing priorities. But I think when I had that support system there, it was pretty low on the tough scale. But the
Mm.
second I lost that support system, it shot way up. That was definitely tough for me. What about you?
Um, I'd probably in that same bracket. Like without somebody to kind of support you in that area, managing all your stuff is kind of a pretty difficult task. Um, Luckily, I had my parents too, and like younger siblings to kind of keep me accountable for stuff. We would always ask each other like if we got homework done, chores done, and stuff like that. Um, but for sure, having some sort of accountability for priorities and managing them, it's definitely way better than trying to handle it all by yourself.
Yeah.
Um, I would say that's probably like three. Like I pretty much not in every aspect, but like a lot of aspects of school, like managing priorities was kind of tough.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, again, I think it's that support system that you have. Do you have people that are going to help you with that? Because I can tell you, um, I should have been growing up, elementary, middle, high school, I should have been a way better student than I was, because I had so much support from home and friends and all that kind of stuff. And I had other friends that were doing great in school, all that kind of stuff. I don't know why I struggled like I did early on in school, but man, the second that support system, I mean, you got to have that support system, whether it's from family, and if you don't have it there, get it from somebody, because the whole managing priorities, especially on the church side of things, you will choose video games, sports, friends, and homework over church pretty much every time, which kind of bleeds into the faith consistency too.
yeah.
Because I kind of had a similar answer for that, but anyway, yeah. So tell us about you, like managing priorities. Are you good at that? And if so, how are you good at that? And if not, what do you think you need to get that? But yeah, let's spin that wheel. Let's see what we got next. And while you're spinning, this week our show is brought to you by Triple Trident Gum.
Triple Trident.
Yeah, it's like the Triple Dent Gum thing from Pixar, from Inside
These
Out.
commercials are awesome.
Triple Dent Gum.
Motivation.
Motivation number 4. I put that number 4 for me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I coming back to school, having the motivation to actually like punch the new year in the face and like get the work done and work hard. Like, man, it was hard for me to find the motivation. It's not hard for me to find motivation to do things I like, but when
Yeah.
it comes to school, motivation is definitely in that upper echelon of like I've really I don't when it comes to school, man, I don't have a lot of self-motivation. I really need that help from outside. What about you?
um. Yeah, I would say every once in a while, I just kind of needed like a kick in the butt to get stuff done. But it was really just that first couple of seconds of motivating myself.
Yeah.
Like, all right, I'm just gonna grind this out for 2 hours, whatever it is. We had a lot of essays. Probably the same compared to real school, but like, all right, I'm gonna grind out 2 hours, get it done. And I always just try to use like other sources of fun to kind of look forward to getting it all done. So that would be
Oh yeah.
my motivation. Like, all right, finish this. I can play games with my friends.
Yeah.
Done for the rest of the day. So
Yeah, you need your carrot. Like the carrot dangling in front of you, for sure. Yeah. I mean that's with anything, like, all right, get my workout done, don't have to do anything the rest of the day. Right? Or get my homework done, I can actually enjoy the weekend or whatever it is. Um, get this done, I don't got to pay for camp. Like, yeah, I think thinking of the light at the end of the tunnel helps with motivation. I just know, like, for me as a kid, when I was in school, motivation just finding the motivation for school was a struggle because like a lot of our students, I empathize with them. I relate to them because I didn't see the point of like, why would I take pre-calculus? I'm not going to use this in life,
Yeah.
right? And to be honest, I have never had to locate X as an adult. I've never been walking through Target, and I go to check out, and they're like, well, before you pay, can you find X? And that's never happened to me. In a job interview, they've never said, all right, please utilize the Pythagorean theorem to figure out the missing side of this triangle. Never had to do that. However, I will say somebody gave me a great perspective. As a student, maybe you're sitting there going, yes, I agree, right? Who's going to use this later in life? But then having family that work in education, they actually talked to me about brain development and having a wife that's actually a psychology, mental health counselor, that kind of thing. You don't take math like that and science like that and all that because you're going to use it later in life, right? Like I'm not constantly thinking of mitosis. It's not on my mind, but every now and then it is.
The powerhouse of a cell.
What?
What is the powerhouse of a cell?
Yeah, the mitochondria. But I will say that the cool perspective that was given to me about that is you do those classes because it develops that certain analytical, systematic side of your brain, right? So it's not necessarily that you're going to use this later in life, but it helps develop your brain so that way you can think clearly, right? You have that analytical side of thinking. So I don't know. Unfortunately, as a child, I didn't know that, and I didn't really.
I'm never going to use this again, so why do I?
Yeah, the motivation, man, was just not there. Like I was totally fine with like that. All right, what do I got to do to pass? Like that was my mind, which is actually why I say focus on the learning more than on passing. Because if you learn the content really good, the grade will come, right? But just because you have an A doesn't mean you learned anything. So, all right, let's go. Let's spin it.
Exactly. Resting.
I put that number 2. I have a hard time resting.
Really?
Like, oh yeah. I mean, even today, I just went to I got to go to Hawaii with my dad. I was still up at like 5 or 6 every day because my internal clock is jacked up. But then here's what's funny: I'd be tired, and I would still stay up until like 11 or 11:30. I just have a hard time giving up on the day. And my body's used to getting up early. And I always have stuff going on that it's hard for me to genuinely rest. Like even if I'm sitting down and like, let's say that I've worked 14 days straight, no day off. I'm going to have a day off. Most people would say, hey, you need rest. Just sit, enjoy the day, rest. It's hard for me to view that as rest. I'm still thinking like, well, I can at least work out. I can at least go for a run.
Yeah.
I can at least do the dishes. And before you know it, I've filled up my entire day just as if it was a work day. And I always regret not resting. But I don't know why.
Satisfied after.
Yeah, I just struggle. Like it's hard for me to rest the whole day and feel satisfied with the day, like it was a success. And like rest is like if you do rest the entire day and you have that season of rest, not every day, all right? The Bible says if you don't work, you don't eat. But technically that is a success if you do take that time to rest. It's just hard for me, I think, it's tough for me to see that as a good thing because in my brain, I'm like, there's things that I could be doing. There's things that I could be getting done. And it's hard for me to shut off, which is, again, that support system. I need people like Caitlin or whoever to just force me.
Like take a break every once in a while.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's number 2 for me. What about for you?
I would say like 7. I would say I'm pretty. You could ask anybody. But like rest for me kind of comes easy. Like if I'm not actively doing something, or if I don't like plan out something for myself to get something done, like I'll just lay down, or I'll just like sit at my computer and just kind of like watch videos and stuff. That's also like one of my, I think, for rest. Like I'll binge videos on like certain subjects that I kind of want to learn. So I guess in a way it's not really resting because I'm trying to like learn, but like I'm relaxed in my chair, trying to like learn stuff.
Yeah, but rest isn't sleep either. And I think that's another thing too, is because I could get a lot of sleep, but I still haven't rested my mind. But I'm not like you. Like if I sit and I, listen to a podcast on an ancient civilization, right? Or a sports podcast or something like that, like technically my brain's still working, but it is rest because I'm doing what I enjoy. And even for me,
Mhm.
sometimes running can be restful. I know that, like, if you're listening, you're like, what? But sometimes I use a run to decompress, to just
Oh
kind of
yeah.
get out there and listen to what I want to listen to and get a nice run in and kind of release those chemicals in my brain to help me kind of calm down. But yeah, I don't, man. I struggle. I struggle to actually rest because I feel like I'm wasting time. Or I feel, or I feel selfish. Like taking
Oh,
self care me time, I feel selfish because I'm like, oh, I could be helping Caitlin with kids, right? Or I could be, doing more for the church or whatever it may be. I could be making more money. And so it's
mhm.
hard for me. Sometimes by me setting aside time to rest, you kind of feel,
Like
I wish I
guilty.
was like you, that I could just be like, no, this is important. I know this is important.
Well, I also don't have 2 kids and a wife, so
One
I
day,
wouldn't
Manny,
want.
one day, let's spin that wheel.
Oh man.
One day you'll have that, and then you'll be like me, and you'll be like, man, I need to take rest. Because the thing is, I'll tell you that it's important to take rest, right? And I know that. And it's not, I would tell you that, no, it's not selfish. Take care of yourself. And then for me, I'm like, why do I struggle with that when I know in my heart that that's true? But whatever. Anyway, what do we got?
It was homework.
Number 3
Yeah.
could be number 1. It could
It
be.
could fight for number one.
Man, I did not do well with homework. I love learning. That's the thing, is I love learning stuff, but on my own time. I don't
Yeah.
I don't want to do 50 math problems. Like, is it cool to learn it? And when you do it right, like, is it awesome? Yeah, but I don't want to.
50 times.
I love reading. I don't want to be told what to read. Like, then I'm not interested in it. Yeah, homework. Every level, my master's degrees, my undergrad, like everything. Homework. Oh man, if I'm not interested in it, and if I don't find it enjoyable, it's like pulling teeth. It's up there as one of the toughest things. And maybe for most of our listeners, they're like number 1. Yeah, it's definitely number 1, 2, and 3. I don't know, but for
It's all
me,
3.
for me, it's number 3. I empathize. I'm with y'all. It's tough. You got to do it though. Sometimes you got to do tough things. But man, I don't enjoy it. It
Mhm.
doesn't mean you have to smile through it. Just get her done. What about you?
Oh man, you could ask my mom. There would be sometimes like doing math. It'll be like right after dinner, like 9:30, 10. Still working on these math problems, just trying to finish off like this chapter and stuff. It was so bad. It was only with like math and oh man,
There's
I hated it.
there's one teacher, and I remember talking to, because I was a teacher for 5 years, and I remember talking to Jonathan about this at Western because he was kind of getting started at as a teacher and that kind of stuff. And there's a method that I wish my teachers would have used on me, because when I go home, I don't want to do more school, right? But there's a method of teaching where you actually flip it. So you actually do the assignment in class, and then when you go home, you're expected to like listen to a lecture or whatever it may be. So the learning kind of happens at home, and then when you're at school and you're in school mode,
Doing
you're doing the actual work part. And for me, I would have loved that, because then
Yeah.
I could be playing with Legos or whatever and like listen. Now, granted, the technology wasn't the same when I was in school. We had YouTube and stuff like that, but the whole podcast thing, virtual platform, all that wasn't there. So, but man, like especially in high school, I would have loved that. Because then I can go home, or on the way home, I can listen to the lecture, take notes, that kind of thing, and then it's done. And then the part that I dread or that I need help, because the other part about homework that I didn't like is if I get stuck, I'm just stuck. Like if I have
Yeah.
20 math problems to do and I get stuck on number 3, do I just go to number 4 and then I tell my teacher, hey, I couldn't do this, and then I don't get the grade for it? Maybe everybody's listening like, yeah, right? Gosh, I hated that. And
Yeah.
it would have been so nice to have like a teacher like, hey, I don't get this part. So I wish more teachers would do that flip of like, all right, let's do the assignment in class. I'll give you some reminders. We'll do the assignment in class, And then when you go home, you're expected to listen to, but I bet they don't do that because they don't expect that the students will actually go home and
Go back and listen.
they have a hard enough time doing the homework.
Yeah.
So
I honestly feel like that would actually be a really effective way of like getting homework done. Like you said, kind of have it flipped so you're doing it while in class, and then when you go back home, you're doing whatever else, but it's like a lot less stress on your mind because you already got it done at school.
well, yeah, and what you're doing at home is the learning side, not the application side.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think that's such a cool if you actually do it. You can go ahead and spin the wheel. But if you actually do it, like you can actually trust the students to actually go home and do that learning side of thing. I think that'd be super effective, and you would have a lot less kids getting 1.0 GPAs and stuff like that. Because what ultimately hurts a lot of kids' grades is they're just not doing the homework. So I think that would help a lot.
Yeah. We got stress.
Stress. Number 6. For the life of me,
Okay.
I cannot genuinely remember being stressed as a kid. I think that's partially because I had a really great connection with church and with church friends, and my parents did a really good job of helping us manage things well. I genuinely don't remember being stressed as a kid. I don't know. Like, I'm sure there were stressful things. That's why it's number 6, not number 10. And like, yeah, it's stressful when you got a lot of stuff to do.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you, oh yeah, I remember being stressed. Because I see students today, man, so stressed out. Like, and I just don't remember
Being
that
that
being
way.
a thing. And maybe it's because I wasn't dealing with as much. Maybe I wasn't dealing with all the social media uh and all the distractions that are there. I mean, I still had distractions. It was just called a Game Boy. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't remember being stressed. What about you?
Um, the only times I could remember like genuinely being stressed was like state testing, and that was just
Okay.
because like the whole pressure of like maybe you advance a grade or like you get dropped a grade. I don't know why they like over exaggerated it so much, but like that was the one thing that I could say I got stressed on.
Yeah.
Was just like because it would be um they had it up here at the Green Tree Inn, like that hotel on 7th, and it was just a classroom full of like 200 kids. You sit down, you got like a pencil, and I don't know. It felt like I was getting interrogated,
Yeah.
but it was just super kind of like a scary environment to walk into. Um,
Yeah, I don't like taking tests. I mean, I was a decent test taker,
yeah,
I guess. Uh, I'm the sicko that kind of looked forward to state testing.
no,
That's weird. But I was a public school kid. So, like, I think one of the reasons why I looked forward to that was because it was always like a condensed schedule. So you had like short days, but then,
mm,
like, again, the work was done in class, not at home. So,
no,
and again, like the expectation was lower. Like it wasn't going to affect my class grade. So I wasn't super stressed about it. When I was in elementary school, my parents and some of my teachers would let us bring gum to school, which I know is like, I wasn't allowed. But when I was in school, like when I was in elementary school in the 90s, uh, and early 2000s, like you couldn't chew gum at school. And so I remember like our teachers, some of our teachers would let us chew gum because it like, gets your blood flowing. We'd always have like a special breakfast at home to like make sure that we had a good balanced meal. So I was kind of one of those weirdos that like kind of look forward. I don't know.
I guess it was
That
just
bad?
different because like it was in a classroom full of kids that I had like never met before and people that I
Oh,
didn't
gotcha,
know.
gotcha.
I guess it wasn't more of like doing the homework side of it, like actually being in there, because I always did good at like the state testing. But I guess it was just like the environment,
Yeah.
like leading up to it. I was like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to like have to deal with all these mean teachers. They were mean. They were kind of like messed up. Like this
No, they're
one
not
kid, he started
mean.
crying and she kicked him out of the
They're
classroom.
not mean. They're just misunderstood. Okay. Yeah, there's a question. Yeah, who was your meanest teacher? We're not going to talk about that, but I do
I mean,
remember we band together, and actually we didn't like this one teacher that we had for English. I think it was my sophomore year, so much that we were so terrible. Not necessarily. I was not the ringleader for this. I was okay with it because I didn't enjoy her as a teacher, but I wasn't like taking the charge on this. But I remember like we kind of band together to just get her to leave, which is terrible. But she actually did, and the teacher that replaced her was great. But I wasn't like actively involved in the campaign, so to speak. But I wasn't upset when we got the new teacher.
Wasn't opposed.
So yeah, but I also wasn't an instigator. All right, let's spin the wheel.
We got the last one. It's
There's only one left.
consistency. Yeah.
Oh wow, faith consistency. What a great place to end. Because I will say this is either 7 or 2. Okay, so this is one of my other like 7 or 2 ones.
Okay. Yeah.
It was a 7 when I was in school at home because, again, all of my school friends were my church friends. And I was really close with a lot of people at church. And then my parents prioritized me being at church, but not in a bad way. Like they didn't use it as a punishment and all that kind of stuff. They just really did a good job of communicating the benefit of prioritizing that and committing to that. And my parents also, they didn't expect that of us and then do something different, right? So they were just as committed as we were, and they served in the church, and so we did too. Like, and it was something that we did together. But then, like I said, I graduated. I went to Cal Baptist for those first 2 years, and I can't tell you that I belonged to a church, which I believe today, theologically, personally, just everything is so important. But I didn't belong to a church. You know, I struggled to. I didn't serve in a church like I did growing up. Like it was just kind of night and day. So that's where it was a number 2 as far as tough. Like maintaining my faith became way tougher when I didn't have that good support net. And if you don't have it from your parents, find it from someone, because that support system is what helps you maintain consistency. And this is where I would say managing priorities and faith consistency go hand in hand. Because both of those, I think you need a good support system. You cannot maintain your faith as a priority on your own, because you're going to go after what you want or what's convenient or what everybody else is doing. So you have that community and you can fit in. But yeah, I would say when you have that support system, this becomes a lot less tough to manage in terms of your priorities, is your faith. And by consistency, I think you and I meant like you're the same Monday through Saturday that you are on Sunday, right? So just maintaining your faith every day of the week. And again, it comes down to finding the right friends, like we listed here, managing your priorities well, having the motivation. Like there's so many things on this list that contribute to this for sure. But where would you put the faith consistency for you?
I would say like right in the middle.
Okay.
It wasn't super difficult because like obviously again like I was always in a church setting. I was homeschooled. But even then, like I could remember like just the accountability partner. Like I could feel like when I started kind of slipping, like people like Jeremy, they're always there to kind of like, even if we weren't talking about anything biblically related, just him being a light kind of always put me back on track. Like,
Yeah.
all right, I need to like not be hanging out with these people or cut these people off, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd say like right in the middle.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I mean, I find it poetic that that's where we ended, but that's so important. Like as we're going back to school, I mean, I talked about 1 Peter 5 on Sunday night with our fall kickoff, but, and you have to have the right priorities in place, because again, going back into school, like summer is easy because you've got camp going on and you've got, Engage, and you don't have the distraction of homework and all that kind of stuff. But then all of a sudden school comes back and you're like, oh no. And you get stressed. You're like, I got homework and I've got sports and I've got friends and I've got like all the things that were on that list. And unfortunately, the one that typically takes the back seat is your faith, and investing in your faith, right? And keeping it consistent. And so that's why, like 1 Peter 5, we talked about how he, and these are all quotes, but number 1, you've got to be shepherds of your flock. You have to ask yourself constantly, who or what did God put in your path today, right? And when you go in with that mentality of like, all right, well, what does God put in front of me? oh, cool, he put this homework in front of me. Well, I know that the Bible says that I'm supposed to work diligently as to the Lord and not to man. Cool. So I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna enjoy it, but I'm gonna do it, right? So again, like, shepherd what God puts in front of you and the people that God puts in front of you. When you go in with that mindset at school, you know, you don't view people as just other classmates. You view them as potential people that might be lost, or another person that you can invite or whatever. But then also submitting yourselves to your elders and making sure you got that king's table. You know, we talked so much in this list of like, hey, it goes a lot. It's not as tough when you have a support system. And so make sure you've got that support system. You talk about Jeremy, you know, make sure you've got those people that are going to keep you in line. Because I can promise you, even from my life, the second that goes away, it's really hard on your own to maintain that. And again, be alert, be aware that the enemy, as Peter describes it there, is a roaring lion. He's prowling around looking for someone to devour. You have a real enemy, right? And he's going to do anything he can to bring down your faith consistency, right? Because if he can take you out of the fight, then there's more and more people that are not going to know who Jesus is. And so what enemies are you fighting, and what are you bringing into the fight? Who are you bringing into the fight? Again, that support system. And then that last one, just remembering that God's going to restore you. And I think, you know, as you guys enter this new school year, it's tough. Like, you know, you come out of the summer and there's so much, you guys have so much that you're going through that I didn't have to deal with. I did in some ways, and it was packaged differently, but don't let the stress of school and grades and friends and sports and all of that pull you away from what God did over the summer. I mean, if you felt like you grew in your faith and you got closer to God and you're on fire for him, well, don't let the stress of work, you know, because when it's not school, it's work. And you're going to grow up and it's going to change. And it's going to be, the stress of work is going to pull you away from that, or the stress of a growing family or relationships are going to pull you away from that. So don't let the chaos of life pull you away from that. And don't be a different person on Sunday than you are Monday to Saturday. So yeah, so there's our toughest parts. Praying for you guys as you start school. We're super pumped to be back in a routine. Having people in this building and actually get into that routine. It's tough to get back into that routine, right? Got to get that motivation, get the wheels spinning, build that momentum, you know, and then once you got the momentum, keep it, you know. But yeah, we look forward to seeing you guys tonight. Invite some friends tonight, and we're going to worship and play some games and install our new student leadership team, which is super exciting. So really excited about that. But Manny, as always, I can see he's got the phone that he's doing stuff on. He's clicking around the keyboard and multiple monitors. I look at Manny through a crack between two monitors. So as we are talking on here, I can like see just his face right there. So thank you so much for running everything. I know we got you lunch and a coffee yesterday, but we can't pay you enough, man, for what you and so many others do in our church. So thank you for running the mothership, man, and for getting all this set up. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening, and we look forward to our podcast. Next week is going to be the box, so we'll figure out how you guys can submit, whether it's through social media or here live in the room. Send in your questions. We're going to kind of go through those questions one by one right here on the podcast, and before you know it, we're going to be into September. So it's crazy. The fall season is upon us. Now it just needs to start cooling down.
Oh yeah,
please.
Can't take the heat anymore.
Please.
No.
I like being outside and not sweating. So, but again, this is the NG Podcast. We talk to the next generation about being the next generation. Thank you so much for listening. And we look forward to seeing you guys next week. See you later.